The San Francisco Giants just made a shocking move that is absolutely insane to call up their top prospect, the number 13 overall prospect in baseball, Bryce Eldridge. This comes on the heels of a disappointing series loss against the Los Angeles Dodgers and a weekend where the offense didn't necessarily perform to expectations. Now, as I just mentioned, they did just come off the series against the Dodgers, and this is a series where Giants first baseman Dominic Smith did this to cap off an insane play by Matt Chapman, but it did end in Dom Smith getting hurt, and he is hitting the 10-day IL, which is looking like it could be longer than that. Now, as soon as this injury happened, Giants fans are speculating, could it be time for Bryce Eldridge to get the call? Now, right away, it didn't seem like it. Gerard Encarnacion made his return to the lineup, and that seemed like that would be the corresponding move with Dom Smith being hurt. However, just last night at around 12:33 a.m. Eastern Time and 9:33 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Susan Slusser reported that Giants calling up top prospect Bryce Eldridge to help their playoff bid. Now, this is shocking because the Giants were very, very reluctant to call up Bryce Eldridge. Buster Posey had been clear all year long that they were going to take their time with the 20-year-old prospect. I've been saying he's the best prospect since Buster Posey himself, and he has performed like it. Buster Posey said it was really important for him to get the reps in AAA before getting the call to the big leagues. In spring training this year, we saw him open the month long he was in spring training with a big home run to center field, but after that, he very much struggled against big league caliber pitching. However, he quickly turned that around this year with his performance in the minor leagues, which leads us to kind of what we're going to talk about with how he's done this year and what this means for the team. Now, this is RM Layton of JustBaseball.com's breakdown of Bryce Eldridge. It is a bit outdated from last year, but it still gives you a good idea of what Bryce Eldridge is going to give you at the plate. It says, standing at a wiry 6'7" with long levers, Eldridge already generates impressive bat speed and big exit velocities, but there's some more in the tank. He does mention the hit tool concern and the whiff that Bryce Eldridge does have at the plate. It says he'll whiff plenty, but consistently hitting the ball as hard as he does, 94-mile-an-hour average exit velocity, which is up to the upper 95s this year, should allow him to make the most out of his contact, even when the ball isn't leaving the yard. It talks about his plate discipline, which seems right around average right now. He doesn't walk a ton, and with him being 6'7", you would expect him to whiff a little bit, but he does swing at pitches in the zone, and he takes advantage of bad pitches from pitchers. He says, that said, he seems to recognize spin well and consistently attack good pitches to hit within the zone, which can sometimes push him into swing mode over small stretches. And then he finishes off by saying, already launching homers upwards of 460 feet prior to his 20th birthday, Eldridge has room for more strength within his long frame, making 40 home runs not outlandish to dream on. Now, obviously, we won't see 40 home runs for a couple years, most likely. He's not just going to come up and dominate, these next 2 weeks and next season. But it is fair to dream on, when he gets to year 4 or 5, that he could be a consistent 35-plus home run hitter. The exit velocities indicate that. The power output has indicated that the last 2 years, which is really, really encouraging for Giants fans. Now, getting into one of the most impressive stretches we've seen from Bryce Eldridge this season is what he did from July 14th to August 7th. As you can see here, in 20 games, he hit 8 home runs, which is really, really impressive, and had an average of 3.01. He did strike out 23 times in 20 games, but like we've said, it's not surprising that he's going to have some strikeout issues with being 6'7" and swinging as hard as he does that consistently. He did have only 1 double in those 20 games, but 13 singles as well, 22 hits in 20 games. Just a really, really impressive run that he went on here. I believe this resulted in a WRC plus of around 160, which is absolutely bonkers. But that brings us to his performance over the entirety of the season. These are some of the advanced numbers for Bryce Eldridge in 2025, and this is between, I believe, 34 games in AA Richmond and then 66 in AAA Sacramento. He slashed 260, 333, 510 for an 843 OPS. He does have 25 home runs on the season, and he has a 119 weighted runs created plus on the year, which means he is 19 points better than the average hitter. You see there on the left-hand side, 29.3% strikeout rate, which is very elevated, but he's going to get into those high exit velocities. He's going to get into his power very consistently, which indicates that he'll be able to mitigate that whiff issue, the strikeout issue. And the 9.7% walk percentage isn't bad. You'd be fine if it stays there for the rest of his career. Now, getting into what the National League wildcard currently looks like, you see the Brewers, Phillies, Dodgers still in those top 3 spots pretty comfortably, not really being scared by any other teams. The Padres were on the heels of the Dodgers for a quick second there, but they remain in that second wildcard spot. Now, going into the game on Saturday, the Giants were in that third wildcard spot. They were tied with the Mets, and if you would have looked at this graphic on that day before the Giants lost, they would have been in that third spot. Now, after dropping 2 games to the Dodgers and the Mets winning on Sunday, they sit a game and a half back of the Mets. Obviously, Bryce Eldridge is going to come up, and he's going to try and help push this offense over the edge and make a monster at the top of the order with Elliot Ramos, Rafael Devers, Willy Adames, Matt Chapman, Jung Hoo Lee, and then adding Bryce Eldridge to the mix. Is about as good of a replacement you could ask for when Dom Smith goes down, who's been excellent for the Giants this year. Bryce Eldridge looks to come up and hit some home runs and add some even more power to this offense that has had a big power output over the last month or so. This is who the Giants are going to be facing over this next week. They have a 3-game set against the Diamondbacks, who are right behind them in the wild card coming up, and then they have 4 more against the Dodgers. The big part here is on the right-hand side of this graphic. You see the opposing pitcher. You see Zach Gallen, then you see Brandon Pfaadt, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, and then Sheehan to close it out. That is 5 right-handed pitchers where you would expect Bryce Eldridge to be in the lineup every single time. Obviously, he's shown some good power against lefties, but you'd assume that Rafael Devers will get the start at first against those guys, even though he's a left-handed hitter as well. So let me know in the comments what you think of this decision to call up Bryce Eldridge with 2 weeks to go. The Giants were very reluctant to do so earlier in the year, even saying a month ago that we will not see him in 2025. But things turned around, Dom Smith gets hurt, and we are seeing Bryce Eldridge in the last 2 weeks of 2025. Will he strike out too much? Will he hit 5 home runs in 2 weeks? It'll be really interesting to see what we see from the 20-year-old. Another interesting aspect of this is he slides in as the youngest player in Major League Baseball this season and currently. Of all active players, I believe Roman Anthony and Samuel Basallo are now 21 years old, and Bryce Eldridge slides in as the only 20-year-old in Major League Baseball. Obviously, he wants to be in the conversations with Willie Mays, Buster Posey, the greats of San Francisco Giants history, and he has been very vocal about that. He's not scared of the big moment. He indicated that in his interview with Alex Pavlovich a few weeks ago on Giants Talk. So he's not going to be scared. He's not going to be nervous about coming up and trying to help this Giants team make the playoffs. Let me know in the comments what you think about Bryce Eldridge's 2 weeks, what he's going to do these next 2 weeks, and then let me know what you think his odds will be to win the Rookie of the Year next season in 2026. Will he come up and dominate the league right away, or will there be a bit of an adjustment period like we saw with Jack Caglione? Thank you for watching SF Giants Digest, and make sure to subscribe below.